Welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna learn how to study for the Israeli state exam. The IMLE, Israeli Medical License Examination, is divided into two parts. The first one has internal medicine and surgery, and the second one is pediatrics, gynecology and obstetrics, and psychiatry. The way I studied, which was recommended to me by a good friend, Stav Botsky, was dividing my day into theory and questions. I always started my day with theory. I would use resources like Online Method, like Kaplan, Kaplan books or other USMLE books. And also I would use the notes that are made by Israeli students who are studying in Israel.
For syllabus, I would use the syllabus that the Tel Aviv University suggests. They would host these Magen exams for their prep courses, and I like this one way more because the one from the Ministry of Health is a bit demotivating for me. I mean that it's just a bit much. It's very, very, very detailed, and I would just use this one. It looks way nicer for me.
And for the question part, I use two websites. The one is Dr. Mada or DRMDA, and the other one is MedExams. Dr. Mada is a website that has all the books. They have Harrison, they have Nelson, they have Kaplan for psychiatry. And what they do is they take the questions that are in that book, and usually it's maybe not the latest edition, but pretty advanced editions, and they copy it into the website along with the explanation. So after you answer a question, you can always read the explanation, and usually it's very good because it explains why the answer is correct and why the other answers are incorrect. And that is exactly where you will find the devil's in the details because that is the part where you can really understand why one answer is right and the other is wrong. And this helps you to completely understand the subject if before it was a bit like hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Sounds a lot like dilatative cardiomyopathy, but now I can see why. The second website is MedExams, and MedExams is based on Israeli students' exams, like final exams that Israeli students studying in Israel have. Those are also referenced. You can see that, for example, this answer is blah, 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 and then you can find the reference to exactly the page in Harrison that explains why this is actually correct. One more feature about Dr. Mada, though, is that you can also see other people's responses, and this really helps, especially when you're doing those simulations at the end, because sometimes the explanation is not so great, or sometimes there is no explanation at all. Not very often, but that does happen. And then there are really nice doctors who took the time while they were studying and copied the explanation from the book directly and referenced it, and you can see exactly where it is. So I spent about 5.5 months studying for this exam. I would study, let's say on average, 6 hours a day. When I did study, it was efficient. I did not waste time, and I tried to always come in a good mood and feel like, yes, I am gaining knowledge. About a month per subject. I think for psychiatry and maybe gynecology was a bit less for me, but definitely a month for internal, a month pediatrics. And after that, I also had some time so I could redo some questions. I started with internal in September, so obviously by the time it was January, I kind of forgot everything. So I redid it. I answered again the books that are called pre-test on Dr. Mada, and I had some leftover questions in MedExams, which I did not start yet, so I could do those, and that helped a lot. I would do about 100 questions a day. I don't recommend doing any less because that really keeps you in a good pace. More is always welcome, just make sure you don't run out of questions. Now let's talk about the marathon period. I took about a month where I would wake up every day, do my morning routine stuff, and then sit down to solve a simulation, solve an actual exam. I started from 2014 and did about 20 of them. So let's say everything until 2021, the latest one. And I redid the last ones, the last 5 ones, I think from 2019. I redid them again at the end of my simulation period. Every simulation day looks like exam day. So you wake up and you sit down and you do the exam as diligently as you can. So you close the door, you take your phone out, you put earplugs in, and you focus as if this was the real exam. To be honest, for me, it took less than 4.5, 5 hours. I would usually finish in around 2.5 hours maybe, but that's just the way I am. I solve exams kind of fast. Same happened during the actual exams for me. So it doesn't really matter as long as you stay focused. When you finish the exam, you start reading the questions. Every website, both Dr. Mada and MedExams, have very good explanations. In MedExams, someone actually sat down and wrote the explanations. In Dr. Mada, especially where they just started, so until 2017 or so, the IMLE was based on books. So you get the explanation directly from the book. And then if you go to the comments section, there are those nice doctors I was referring to that explain and reference from the book. So they actually write Harrison, latest edition, page, you can see that the explanation is blah, blah, blah. So that's very nice to look at as well. But Dr. Mada actually took the latest exams, I think starting from 2018 maybe or something like that. And they have thorough explanations, like very good ones written by the doctors that run the website. So it's not only by the book and by the comments section. While I was studying, I would make notes, very, very short ones, just in general about every topic. And I would use them when I was doing my simulations. So, for example, I would read the answer after I finished the exam, and something would pop up, like I would have some kind of association, and I would go to my pages and I would see exactly what did I write, and I could add stuff to it or understand it a bit better. And for me, I'm a visual learner, so I really remember what the page looks like. And when I'm doing my exam, I usually kind of remember what the essay looked like, or like what my summary looks like. So for me, it was very helpful. Also, when I was investigating the simulation I was doing, I was also making some notes, very, very short. I think I would have a line per subject or something, very, very, very direct, just so I would have maybe 1 page or 2 pages per exam, something I could also reference to later on. Just a quick note on grades. When I was studying, I would get around 40%, I think, per day, per the questions. So let's say I would do 100 questions, I would get 40% of them correct. And during the simulation, I got maybe on average 65, 70%, something like that. Why am I telling you this? I would feel very nervous at that time. So when I would see that 40%, I felt like a complete failure. Really, it just feels awful that you are studying so hard and the results are not great. It was nice to get higher grades, and it was nice that I passed almost all of the simulations except for one, because it gave me some confidence. But in the words of my psychometry SAT teacher in like 2015, it doesn't matter. This is not the real exam. What matters is what kind of knowledge you're gaining, and it's not that much about grades or percentages. It's about what did you learn from today. I've decided to put this in just so if you are studying right now and you feel like your grades are crap, it's okay. It's totally fine. This is the same grades that I was asking other people, and they would get the same. So while you're studying, it's okay to get 40%, and a bit later, it's okay to get just a bit more. So it doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't mean that you're doing a bad job. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something today that you could put into good use. I would love to receive questions from you, and see you next time.